they didn't kill him, they sent some old house Negro along behind him to undo what he said. You have to read the history of slavery to understand this. There were two kinds of Negroes. There was that old house Negro and the field Negro. And the house Negro always looked out for his master. When the field Negroes got too much out of line, he held them back in check. He put them back on the plantation. The house Negro could afford to do that because he lived better than the field Negro. He ate better, he dressed better, and he lived in a better house. He lived right up next to his master in the attic or the basement. He ate the same food his master ate and wore his same clothes. And he could talk just like his master, good diction. And he loved his master more than his master loved himself. That's why he didn't want his master hurt. If the master got sick, he'd say, "What's the matter, boss? We sick?" When the master's house caught a fire, he'd try and put the fire out. He didn't want his master's house burned. He never wanted his master's property threatened. And he was more defensive of it than the master was. That was the house Negro. But then you had some field Negroes who lived in huts, had nothing to lose. They wore the worst kind of clothes, they ate the worst food, and they caught hell. They felt the sting of the lash. They hated their master. Oh, yes, they did. If the master got sick, they prayed that the master died. If the master's house caught a fire, they prayed for a strong wind to come along. This was the difference between the two. And today you still have house Negroes and field Negroes.
I know the first question on your mind is, why did I play that for the intro? Well, it's going to be very apparent to you, because I need you to remember that the concept I'm about to present to you is not something new, right? It's been talked about for decades, at least to my knowledge, right? When it comes to politics, it doesn't matter which side you vote for. Now, of course, financially speaking, if you have skin in the game, then yes, it does, right? If you want things to go a certain way, if you want the market to be up, if you have investments, you're making a great deal of money, there's certain restrictions that you might want removed or maybe in place for different reasons, right? You might want to see more of the money that you're investing sooner, right? You might want to see things happen with your children's schooling, with zoning, with respect to what's happening at the border, right? You might want a lot of things infrastructure-wise. Maybe the roads are kind of crappy where you live. The bridges, right? Just, what was it, months ago when that bridge toppled after being hit by a tanker in Maryland, right? Things like that. You might want to see these different things being taken care of, obviously, by the government. So you have questions, you have concerns, you have things, wants, and needs, right? A lot of these you're going to provide for yourself as an individual, for yourself and your family, right, along with your mate. However, you want to know how they're going to get done, when they're going to get done. Is there a timeline, right? If things are messed up in the country, you want to know, okay, what are you going to do to fix it? We have individuals from different communities, but from mine specifically, such as the Plies, the Ricky Smiley, the Steve Harveys, the D.L. Yulees, that will tell you you have no right to question the narrative while they're proposing Kamala to you as the candidate for president. Now, it is not my fault, nor yours, and I assume none of theirs either, that she has a short time to prepare for this presidential run. That is entirely the fault of the Democrats. You know why? Because as long as last year, a year or more, I have been hearing people on the right saying, and I've been seeing the videos they put up myself, saying, listen, this guy, Biden, is basically a cadaver on wheels, right? He is losing his mental functions. He's always falling. His biggest battle is with the stairs, but nobody did anything about it, right? Everything is like, yep, it's all good over here, nothing to see. That was the continuous narrative until all of a sudden now, oh, he's propping up Kamala to run. That's not how we do things. If the president is in mental decline, it's obvious, everybody sees it. Instead of being dishonest, y'all should come to the public with this. That could have came from last year. She could have had at least a full year plus to prep for this, if they wanted to. But see, they kept pushing the envelope regardless of what the right was saying because, we're the Democrats, we're in power, we're going to do what we want. But the purpose of this video is to let you know that in the grander scheme of things, yes, it does matter. But if you're talking about overall and overhauling the system that's in place now, I don't think it's going to get done. I don't see it happening in our lifetime. The repercussions would be, the scale, the magnitude with which it would affect these corporate giants who essentially run the country. I don't think they'd be willing to give up on that stranglehold that they have. I doubt it. The Black Rocks and such that, hold so much wealth because of how the system is set up favorably for them. I don't see it happening. Even with the Fed and them having control of our money as opposed to the government having control of it, I don't see that changing. So in a way, kind of does, kind of doesn't. But as I said, if you have certain things that you want to see get done, or you have certain beliefs that you want upheld, right? During the cold, you weren't, if you had religious objections, you either got fired or you had to take the Jim Jones juice, right? When things like that happen within the government, you gotta say, like, you know what? Nah, y'all doing too much because this is supposed to be a republic, right? This whole democracy that they keep on throwing out there, democracy is mob rule. That means whoever is the loudest is what they say, right? Whatever the bigger group is saying, that's what's supposed to go. No, we don't live in a democracy. We have elected officials that we by and large vote for. They go up there and they represent us that way. Let me show you this other video. Tell me what you think.
Trumpet players, baseball players. Show me in the white community where a comedian is a white leader. Show me in the white community where a singer is a white leader, or a dancer or a trumpet player is a white leader. These aren't leaders. These are puppets and clowns that have been set up over the white community and over the black community by the white community and have been made celebrities and usually say exactly what they know that the white man wants to hear. And it is an honor, actually, that they endorsed Dr. Martin Luther King and were against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's actually an honor. Now, when you say that they also, in this same Newsweek poll magazine, I think the pollster said that he went into the Negro community and asked about the Muslims. And many Negroes whom he asked said, well, I never heard of the Muslims. Who are they?
This is the rank and file we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Now, when they got down to the rank and file, this was the answers that they got. This is equivalent to the situation in Kenya during the Mau Mau uprising, when many frightened whites in Kenya, Africa, would go among the Africans and ask them, what about the Mau Mau? And the African would say, I never heard of them. And the same white man who would ask the African this question and very naively believe what the African said, when he went to bed that night, he would lose his head. And usually the one who took his head was the same African who told him that afternoon he had never heard of the Mau Mau.
Except in the Newsweek poll, they used Negro interviewers.
You'll find that oftentimes Negroes are as much on guard around Negro interviewers, who usually represent the bourgeois element of Negroes, as they are on guard around whites. Usually Negroes know that when this bourgeois Negro walks through the door, he is not doing something that he's initiated himself, but he's involved in something in which the white man is the absolute author of and has sent him to the Negro community for some information. And when they give that Negro some information, usually they give him the information that they want him to take back to the white man.
Now, it should be painfully obvious why I played that clip just now, right? This is pertaining to the same entertainers that I just spoke of that come here with a narrative to you online saying, hey, y'all need to do this. Ricky Smiley, oh, I'm so tired of y'all not voting Kamala. No. Malcolm spoke about that. Malcolm X, who has been dead for, what is it now, over 50 years? Malcolm X spoke about it. That when you see these entertainers coming out, even if they're propping up somebody black, you can't take them just at face value. You have to ask questions. That is your right, to ask questions and to want answers, right? Not just give whatever they shovel you and accept it. Now, here's the kicker. Large scheme. Does it really matter, right? In this country, on a larger context, does it matter? And I think if you've been around long enough, you know the answer to that. But I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to play it for you.
The divides are deep. It's that the divides are so many. Black and white, race against race, advocates of this issue against opponents of this issue, even men against women and women against men. There isn't a single category within that society that doesn't have some corresponding nemesis. It's just divide and conquer, playing out domestically. And Democrats and Republicans is just another one of these divisions, because the country has been conquered by corporate economic imperialists. Look, I don't care who you vote for in November, because power doesn't care who you vote for in November. I've said it before. If you imagine that unelected power of the private sector is going to entrust the public with deciding how things are going to be run and who's going to run things, then you're living in a fantasy. It's absurd. America has subverted, sabotaged, and strangled democracies all around the world. They've been interfering with, tampering with, rigging elections across the globe for decades, from Haiti to Honduras, from Italy to Iran, from Syria to South Africa. They've toppled governments, assassinated elected officials, fixed elections, bribed and bullied and bulldozed democracies on every continent for a century. They don't think that any population in any country in the world can be trusted to elect leaders who will safeguard the interests of the American elite. So what makes you think that they're going to trust you with that power? They rig elections and install whoever they want in country after country, but somehow you think that they're not going to do that in your country. Well, how naive can you be? Listen, the election cycle in America is nothing but a mechanism for what you can call the campaign industrial complex, whereby billions upon billions of dollars of contributions, your money, are funneled into the private sector. I mean, when you donate to a politician or you donate to a candidate, where do you think that money goes? It goes directly to business. You're not doing anything but increase the revenue streams of consultancies, ad agencies, analytics firms, PR firms, media companies, social media companies, digital marketing agencies, events coordinators, on and on. This is nothing but the public providing basically an economic stimulus package to unproductive industries. It's a wealth transfer that you yourselves are participating in. You're literally just donating money to the private sector and getting nothing in return. Getting nothing in return except that you get to watch the most expensive fan fiction movie about democracy ever produced. I mean, look at the Democrats. Kamala Harris was just appointed as the nominee. She wasn't voted for. This is straight up succession, not election. There were no primaries. She hasn't had to outline her policy platform, and no one needs her to do that. All she has to do is to not be Donald Trump. This is the logic of demonization versus policy debate as a campaign strategy. No candidate has to win your approval as long as the whole election is framed in the lesser of two evils scenario. And what's the point of that? To make the pre-programmed win seem plausible, that's all. And to not leave any opening for dissent to manifest that might make the win seem implausible. Because, for instance, if voters actually have demands of this candidate or that candidate, and the candidate fails to address those demands, then it could cast doubt upon their eventual victory. And inevitably, if a candidate does address voter demands, well, that will always end up alienating some other faction of voters. So we don't talk about issues. We don't talk about how to deal with issues. We just rally behind our party's candidate in lockstep, because the other party's candidate is literally the devil incarnate. When you're operating in the lesser of two evils framework, you're always going to have decidedly low expectations of your chosen candidate, and that's perfect when the election is already fraudulent in the first place. So this uncomplicates the rigging process. Yes, I said rigging, and don't think for a second, don't you imagine that that's a conspiracy theory, that the U.S. rigs elections. But between 1946 and 2000, America is documented to have interfered with, tampered with, malignly influenced, or outright rigged at least 88 elections from Europe to Latin America to Asia to Africa. So again, if you think that they'll do this everywhere else, but your so-called democracy is pristine, I would have to ask you why you think so. Why would it be more important to the power structure to control the outcome of an election in, say, Guyana, than it would be for them to control the outcome of an election in the United States of America? Because yes, Guyana is one of the countries where America rigged elections in the past. I'm telling you, I don't care who you vote for, because power doesn't care who you vote for, because the outcome is not determined by you.
Need I say more, or do you get the picture? So, once again, it is not just me saying it. This is not me pulling stuff out of the air and saying, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. This is what's happening. And yeah, I figured it out. No. I am just one of many people who has done my research over the years, going back to as far as Kennedy, to see that if the power structure does not want you around, you're gone. Right? If they want you around, yeah, they'll keep you around and use you. Which is why Barack did 2 terms, and then at the end, everybody was like, yo, but what did you do? Did you do anything for black folks? Did you do anything for white folks? Or did you just do, what you were told to do? Because it doesn't seem like, you carried out anything that was of any benefit to us. Went after some terrorists, okay, but, what else? Right? Gave out big bailouts to Wall Street and these financial companies, but what what about us, the people? Anyways, I hope you have a good, well-rounded takeaway from this video, right? Because you have to realize that everybody that is on YouTube now talking about why you should be questioning candidates, why, if you're going to go out there and vote, at least have an idea of why you're voting, not just plain identity politics. I'm going to vote for her because she's black, or now we're not going to vote for her, we're going to vote for Trump because he look like us. Nah, it's bigger than that. So it's been bigger than that. You just don't know that. But now that you know, what are you going to do? Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. My Cash App is in the description. You're welcome to donate if you're able to. As I said in my previous video, I'm trying to put some money together to publish a book. So if you can, I'd appreciate it. If not, just subscribe, like, share the content with somebody you know. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.